As I got another rhyme, another rhythm for y'all to listen. I'm never quitting on my mission. I'ma roll with what I'm giving. Got some ambition, this new edition, filling positions. Looking at the void in myself and feeling what's missing. Better watch the way you going, better go in the right direction. In the moment you stressing, but you gon' be counting blessings. And I know that for certain. Keep on working, open curtains. Haters swerving, cause they ain't ready for your final version. Whoa. I'm never gonna give up. Fall down, I just gotta get up, yeah. Cause this is my road. Let's camera action.
You're listening to the Tom Ficklin Show on WNHHLP 103.5 FM, your home for community radio.
Good morning, everyone. Really an exciting and jam-packed show today. We're going to do a first half and a second half for you athletic folks, or just life sometimes has an opening act and then a following act. But for the next 25 minutes or so, really blessed to kind of chat with Reverend Kevin Hardy, pastor of St. Matthew's Unison Free Will.
That's right.
Baptist Church here in New Haven on Dixwell Avenue, right kind of in the epicenter of the Black community. And I wanted Reverend Hardy to kind of jump off and kind of share really an upcoming event that everyone is men are invited to. He does this. I think this is your second or third year, Reverend Hardy.
Our fifth year.
Your fifth year for something called Man Cave. He's going to tell you what that's about. Reverend Hardy has worked in the school system in West Haven. He's been a pastor. He is a pastor. Has a lot of life experience, and I just love the fact of how this upcoming event, Reverend Hardy, kind of symbolizes that some folks might come to the Man Cave event, and I think you're having has a coat drive up. The clothing drive, has that also happened already, or is that today?
The clothing drive has happened already a few weeks ago, but that will be an ongoing monthly event that the Man Cave ministry from the church will continue to sponsor. But just in effects of that, it's called the Man Cave Closet, where we just have clothing of all styles and for all occasions for men to come and receive if they're in need of it. So that is just something that happens monthly on a Saturday morning from 9 to 11. And it's open to anyone who just may have the need for themselves or for a relative for just men's clothing. And you'll find things from casual clothing to suits. So that's something that we want to do ongoing. But you mentioned about the conference. The Man Cave Conference is something that we have had the opportunity to host at the church at St. Matthew's for the past 5 years. Mm-hmm. And the intention and mission is just to gather men for relationship building, for encouragement, for affirmation. There's so many places where we as men don't get affirmed, that it's important for us to have a place where we can be affirmed, that we can affirm one another, where we can share transparently, but we can also be empowered and educated in a variety of ways. And this year we are focusing, of course, on spiritual enrichment and education, but also our own physical health and well-being, how we can make sure that we can take care of our temples and be good stewards over our bodies, and also our emotional health. There's a lot of stigma around men and their emotions. And I often say that we have been taught in society to only be able to show one emotion often, and that is anger. But we do have a variety of emotions, and our emotional health and well-being is extremely important. So we're going to talk about that and how to support one another and hold one another accountable with our spiritual well-being, our emotional well-being, and our physical well-being.
Again, so the date is?
The date is upcoming Saturday, December 9th from 10 to 3 p.m. and it will be held at St. Matthew's Unison Free Will Baptist Church, and that is located in the city of New Haven at 400 Dixwell Avenue. So if you are interested, all you have to do is you can register with our Eventbrite, or you can call the church at area code 203-777-0472. And we're only asking for a small donation of $10 for that event. But if you don't have the money, don't let that stop you. We're not going to turn anybody away. So we want to have you there, and we want to have you blessed.
Reverend Hardy, walk us through a little bit of what's going to take place. I had a chance I was a little late last year, and then I didn't stay for the total thing. But the parts that I did hear, some folks I saw that I hadn't seen in a few years, the testimony, the response from folks that came, folks. Some of your folks had on your branding, had on your gear. So walk us through the schedule a little bit so for folks to know that it's really it's inspirational, educational, and communal.
Yes, thank you so much. This year, our theme is slaying some giants, pursuing emotional, mental, and physical well-being. And we're just going from the biblical story of David and Goliath, saying that there are some using Goliath as a metaphor to different giants that we might be encountering in our lives as men, whether it be financial, whether it be physical, whether it be spiritual, emotional, something with our families, whatever that might be, and joining together in this community of men that I'm proud to say is intergenerational. We have teenagers there, and we have men who are in their 90s, and that sharing of coming together, of talking, of experiencing education, breaking bread together. And this year, we're going to have a panel with men from their 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, spiritual leaders who are going to be there just to share wisdom. That particular panel discussion is for the purpose of just sharing generational experiences, being able to help people understand practically how to move forward from whatever you might be facing. We also have a nationally recognized naturopath by the name of Dr. Anthony Corns. He is from Nashville, Tennessee, and he's going to come and talk to us about our eating habits and the importance of our physical well-being. I saw him at a conference a few months back, and I was so inspired. I said, I have to bring him to the man cave because he has the ability to both bring the academic side of our dietary consumption along with such acute spiritual knowledge as well, and talk to us about taking care of ourselves. So I'm excited about him sharing with the men in the man cave. And finally, we have Dr. Clarence Wright, who is a seminary president in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and he's going to come and challenge us about our own emotional health. Again, I mentioned how there's so much stigma often in the African American community about wellness and mental wellness and emotional well-being. And so we're really going to challenge that and really try to break down those barriers and that stigma and talk about practically how we can take care of ourselves, because we don't just want to live, but we want to live well and we want to live healthy.
And again, from 9 to 2, and that might seem like a long time span, but I'm guaranteeing if you get there at 9, it'll be 2 o'clock before you know it. You won't even be aware that the time has passed.
10 to 3.
10 to 3. I'm sorry, 10 to 3. And there'll be sufficient street parking also at that time.
Please come and check us out. It's worth your time. And as you said, it will go by so much faster than you think, because during the course of everything, we have had in the past about 100 men that have joined us for this occasion. So just the community, just the support, just to be in the presence of that many men. There's not many places that you can go and see that many men together with oneness of purpose and mind in a positive environment. So come and check us out.
I remember last year, Reverend Hardy, I had a chance during the, you haven't mentioned the delicious food that's also interspersed. So that's kind of a given. People know that's going to be a given. But during the lunch hour last year, I had a chance to talk to one of your young people. I guess he'd be a senior, because he was 11th grade last year. And just to hear his insights of what's going on in the school system, just to hear his insights about social media and beefs in the cafeteria, and just him describing his world so so clearly, and also it challenged me as he was speaking about this. Their world, we got to make it a little better. Somehow we got to make it better.
Absolutely. Again, one of the benefits is to be able to have that intergenerational dialogue, because sometimes if we are not intentional about sitting down with one another, we will never know what one another is experiencing or has experienced and how we could help each other. And this is the place where we can have those conversations. And again, what better way to have them besides breaking bread? And having been in the school system for 31 years, I am aware of many of the challenges that the young people face today. And it's important to me in all the areas that I have some input and some influence to try to make their worlds better, just as you said. And one of the ways is through this conference.
Excellent. And you know, Reverend Hardy, just as we're talking now, given I know you only have one head, but I could see there's lines on here, so that's probably from those various hats that you've probably been wearing. So this your past, from as I look at your background and think about what you've done and what you are doing, I think it's one continual theme, whether you want to call it pastoral or educational or counseling, but you've kind of, I think, weaved together the various disciplines, and not having to kind of say, well, you got to be a Catholic or Protestant or Islamic to participate. I mean, it's open. It's a 24/7, 365 opportunity for folks. But what I'm leading up to is talk about your Albertus experience. That's also kind of opening doors and providing sustenance and counseling to folks.
Sure. Every experience that I've been able to have professionally, I've felt like it has been a calling, and that God has led me there. And this latest experience with Albertus Magnus does, and thank you for, your kind words about my experience, because it's been my heart to be a servant leader wherever I am. And whether it be in the spiritual realm or the educational opportunities. And once I retired from the West Haven school system back in October, after 31 years, I had to think about what intentionally I wanted to do next. And Albertus Magnus was an opportunity that was afforded to me, and it feels like a full circle moment. I am a homegrown New Havenite. I grew up in the New Hopeville area, so Albertus was something that I was very familiar with. But when I was able to research it, I found that a lot of their values were the same as mine. Albertus is a college that is built on 4 pillars that are important to me as well. And that is study and prayer, community and service. And all of those values speak to my heart in terms of what I want to do personally and professionally. And talking to them and talking about how important speaking to the lives of young people is, I said, I need to be, and I want to be a part of that. They are extremely diverse as well. They are the most diverse Catholic college in New England. And I see a lot of Black and brown faces, and that's also important to me. Not that I don't have a heart to serve everyone, but I need for people who look like me to see me, because sometimes the exposure to seeing somebody who looks like you often is something that motivates you to continue. So here at Albertus, I just started about 2 months ago. I'm working in the career and professional development office. So I'm able to continue that thread of education from the K-12 system that I worked in to now working with young adults who are starting or continuing their college career, and helping them with mentorship and their ability to find internships and prepare for post-graduation, either continuing their education or being in the work field. So again, helping to model and to shape the minds of our very talented young people.
Excellent. I love that. And let me go back to the man cave, because I believe, I won't say your Moses is, if I said spaghetti and Moses for next Friday. So what's the connection there?
So Man Cave, beyond the conference, has now turned into more of a weekend. So on that Friday before the conference, we're going to have my predecessor, Bishop Robert J. Gay, who was the pastor of St. Matthew's for over 37 years. He is going to come back and he is going to share with us in a time of fellowship. We're going to have a spaghetti dinner, which is open to anyone who would like to come in fellowship and share with us. Again, just for a small fee of $10. If you're interested, that's at the church. And afterwards, he is going to be bringing in an inspirational and powerful word to us that evening during a service. And again, that is open to everyone who may want to join us. The man cave is just for the men, but this spaghetti dinner and fellowship is open to both male and female.
Excellent, excellent. When you mentioned Bishop Gay, and I'm sure he's very proud of you. The point I'm trying to get to is, I would say when Bishop Gay was here, that you could see him, you could meet him in the men's room, on the street, in the mall, in church, at a football game, basketball game. But he would give you a message, and you wouldn't believe that you got the message until almost you walked away. His every word seems that his just natural dialogue, to me, just he carried that wisdom, and it just came out of his lips every time I saw him, regardless of the circumstance. And that's what I so really love. And I've heard some very positive and inspirational things about your community commitment and how you define that's really a open door 24/7 wherever we are, just serving perspective. That's so good to hear. We have about 10 more minutes. What's on your heart, mind, and soul that you'd like to share with folks? Sustainability, perhaps, or this is your 80th year here in the church. How old is the church here, your anniversary?
The church is over 100 years old. It's 105 years old. So it has had a commitment to the city and to its people. And since you were talking about Bishop Gay, I can't not give him his flowers whenever I talk to him, because his example is one that is tremendous here in the city, but the way that he interacted with people, his consistency, his genuineness is something that I've tried to mirror in my own way, in terms of just being authentic and genuine whenever you meet people, to try to show up in that very sincere and intentional way. So I'm very thankful for his example. And I am entering into my 10th year at the church and following in his footsteps. So I'm very grateful that the church is continuing to be active, but our mindset is to make sure that we are doing as much in reach with the people that are within the church, but also it's very important for us to leave our mark in terms of outreach. So making sure that not just with the conferences, but through things that we are actively doing 21st century ministry. And that shows up in many different ways in terms of us impacting our young people in the educational system. We're trying now to have a partnership with the city to do literacy education for the pre-K through the third grade system for our children in the Dixwell and Newhallville area. We're also trying to do some technology training for our 55 and older, because we have many of that population within our church and within our communities. And many of them even need help learning how to use smartphones, let alone laptops and other things, but just trying to help them stay on top of things with the devices and the wave of the future, which is very technological.
Indeed. Indeed.
I'm grateful. I'm grateful to be able to lead the charge and hopefully lead by example, because it is important what we do. And I always say, not just that we show up, but how we show up. And we have to show up with a certain degree of intentionality, integrity, and mission. So I try to live my life so that people can see that those are things that I value.
Tremendous, tremendous. So next Saturday, tease us again. Where should folks, where should men show up?
They should come to St. Matthew's, Unison Free Will Baptist Church at 400 Dixwell Avenue at 10 a.m. and come expecting a time of empowerment, a time of community, a time of education. You won't be sorry. I do tease, knowing, being a man myself, that when a man gives you his time, he is giving you one of the things that he finds most valuable. And I promise you, if you give us your time, you will be glad you did, and you will think that it is worthwhile. You will be entering the man cave, and we have lots of things planned so that you can leave affirmed, empowered, and educated.
Tremendous. Guess Reverend Hardy, let's just take, as we can kind of conclude, I want to pose a philosophical question for you.
Sure.
About philosophical, economic, even practical, about the future of the church. What do, in general, and we should, actually, as I pose this question, we're going to do another show on this topic. I'm going to ask a few ministers that we can kind of talk about. What does the church have to do, in your mind, to continue to keep the doors open, to continue to perceive to be relevant, to continue to perceive to be of value? What one or two things would you say that churches need to do, if they need to do anything different, to kind of make sure that their existence on the planet and their tremendous history is not lost?
That's a great question. One of the things I think we can learn from one of the lessons of the past is to look at what happened during the times in the 50s and the 60s, when the church was the epicenter for the Black community, to expose them and to educate them. And it was not just a Sunday mission. It was to really help them to economically get empowered, educationally be empowered, have the right to vote, be treated fairly. So I think one of the things that we have to understand, if the church is going to be effective in the 21st century, is that it doesn't just happen on Sunday morning and you have to attend to more than the spiritual needs of the people within your congregation and the community and the city at large. It has to be larger. So our vision has to extend past that. But I think we also have to acknowledge some things that the church may have failed to do in terms of reaching people. We have, in many churches, I can't say all, but we have a challenge now often to get the younger generation or some of the millennial population into our churches and to have them committed. So I think we need to really humble ourselves and be aware enough to have open and honest conversations and bring them to the table and to ask them what are they looking for church? And also, besides what are they looking for, what can they add to the church to help us continue to go forward? So I think there has to be some humility and a welcoming to that population. There's so many other things, and I know we don't have time, but
we'll do this. That's why we're going to do this show. This is a teaser. I'll reach out to you, because it's so important for us for that to happen. Reverend, excuse me. Excuse me a second. This has been good, man. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
What's the rest of your day look like? What are you up to the rest of the day?
Well, I'm here at Albertus now, so I'm going to finish out my responsibilities here. And then afterwards, I have some church responsibilities. Life is busy, and life is lifing in terms of just taking care of different things. But I have to say that I'm blessed, because it's all good stuff in terms of impacting people's lives. So my day is full.
All right. Cup runneth over, and we're blessed.
Sir. Yes,
that's
sir.
so important. See you soon.
Look forward to it. Thank you again for the time and for the space of the conversation. I appreciate you and your viewers.
So you can sign off. And so we're going to move, and Kevin, you can, we're going to move now to the second half of the show. And I don't do this all the time, but I wanted to kind of get the word out for Reverend Hardy for his Man Cave event. And then Roz Hamilton and Lorena Mitchell reached out to me about an event that they're holding in collaboration at Dixwell United Church of Christ. So if you notice any themes here in terms of churches and health and reaching out and feeding the body, mind, and soul. This kind of theme is permeating both the previous conversation that I just had, and now with Lorena Mitchell, who's going to unmute herself. and and I need you to unmute. Harry, can you okay, can you hear us now?
Hey, good morning.
Good morning, good morning. So we're going to jump right in. I think Roz is it's out there in cyberspace and looking for the key of life. I think Harry will extend it to her. Lorena, I was looking at some of your background, and you paid some taxes in Chicago. You paid some taxes in New York. So you've been around in some big cities, and I'm always interested. I'm kind of a New England person, and I'm born in Pittsburgh, but I've been here in New Haven for so long. I always wonder when folks have lived in larger cities, and then they move to a smaller town. But let's not digress. Let's
I
dive.
didn't know I was going to have a background check.
Well, that too. This is the surveillance society. Absolutely, absolutely. Come on now. You can call we can call ourselves journalists, but we're really just snoopy people. We snoop around. But Lorraine is here with us, the coordinator for community health initiatives for the city of New Haven. And Lorraine, let's just jump right in. There's an upcoming event that we're going to have with the Dixwell United Church of Christ, and I say we because I want people to first understand that it can be more of a we than just a me or an us. I mean, let's kind of see ourselves be part of the collective. But at any rate, fill us in, share some information about what's upcoming with you and Dixwell.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for giving us the space to talk about what is a topic that can be challenging, but is also personal and important to talk about, and that is suicide prevention.
Mm.
I've been working with Rosalind, and we've been hosting suicide prevention trainings at the Dixwell United Church of Christ. And as you mentioned, we do have an upcoming training on Monday, December 11th from 5:30 to 7 p.m. And that's at 217 Dixwell Ave.
Good. And Roz Hamilton is with us. And Roz, you've been involved with public health leadership and leading public health initiatives for several decades. And I wondered, Roz, if you can hear us.
I can hear you.
Why did the church, or how did this kind of connection kind of come about between a city initiative and now one of our historic churches?
Well, I did a stint after retirement from New Haven at the Quinnipiac Valley Health District as the interim director. And Joy Donaldson, who's a member of longtime member of Dixwell and from the mission committee and all these different committees. And she asked me would I step in for a short time in Quinnipiac Valley. And the time that I stepped in, there was an offer of a free training for QPR, the workshop for trainers. And they said, anybody in a health department that wanted to participate in this training, come on in. And it just happened to be, during the period of time that I was there. And I said, well, this is probably an opportunity I better jump on. And so I went to the training, and it was, chock full of information that I think the community needed to have.
Yeah.
So that's when Lavina and I connected, and we started, coming up with a workshop at Dixwell. And more people have been asking for repeats of this workshop. And suicide isn't something that people jump up and talk about, but the people who want to come and attend at the workshop with different people, community and church members, both, and in discussion, it comes up that there's somebody close to them who've had this experience, and they want to know what happened, what did I miss, was it my fault, those are all the kinds of questions that people who are survivors want to know. They're actually haunted by it. So this was a workshop for them to feel better about what they were doing.
Good. And Lorena and Roz, tease us a little bit. You don't have to tell us everything that takes place during the workshop, but give us some of the headlines or the the workshop titles, or just how the the process might go?
Sure. Well, as Rosalind mentioned, this is a sort of standardized training that's taught across the country. It is
Sure.
an evidence-based training, so there's research showing that it's a training that really improves people's confidence to have
Right.
these conversations, to talk openly about suicide. And the training um, provides some background information about sort of the status of suicide deaths and attempts in our country. And the preview is that, we are seeing an increase in
Right.
suicidal thoughts and suicidal deaths. And this is a public health problem that impacts people of all ages, races, geographic locations, cultural backgrounds, doesn't discriminate. And then the training goes into some information about how we might recognize that somebody is thinking about suicide. What
Mm-hmm.
are those warning signs that we can be aware of when we're talking to fellow church members or in our workplace or interacting with our friends and family? So,
Mm-hmm.
what are those warning signs to be aware of? And then, really, the core of the training is how do we ask somebody if they're having thoughts of suicide, and how do we do that in an open and caring and gentle way, and make sure that that person is able to share what's going on, unburden
Mm-hmm.
themselves from those thoughts, and then really seek the support that they need. I think what's so powerful about hosting these trainings in a church setting is that that support can be, a professional mental health, behavioral health setting, but it also might be pastoral support or spiritual support. It might be connecting to a beloved mentor or teacher. Suicide prevention is really much more than just your traditional mental health treatment. It doesn't have to
Mm-hmm.
take place in a behavioral healthcare setting. In fact, to be effective, suicide prevention really has to take place in all the settings that people are living their lives in.
And just while I'm there, am I looking at a video, filling out a questionnaire, having small group interactions? I'm just give people an idea of how their energy is going to be kind of allocated.
Yeah, there's some visuals, some slides, but really, I think it's a very interactive training, a lot of discussion, a lot of time for questions and sharing. I think Rosalind can chime in, but most people leave the training having some more concrete information, but also leaving feeling sort of that they participated in a therapeutic space where they can talk about things that maybe they haven't had the chance to talk about before.
We
Excellent.
use we use the Amistad room at our church. It's a meeting room,
Mm-hmm.
and it holds, maybe at the max 20 people. But that's really the major number of people that we want in one workshop session, because you have to give people space. They'll look around the room and see, do they feel like they can say something that's on their mind? And if you have, it's not like a lecture hall, kind of experience. So, people aren't going to share in a lecture hall experience. But, learning how QPR stands for question, persuade, and refer.
Mm-hmm.
And so, how to ask those somewhat difficult questions of a person that notice is acting differently. This all started at our church following the Stitch suicide in California. The man from the Ellen DeGeneres show, that everybody was so shocked, and they showed all the so happy holiday, TikTok videos of him and his family, and then all of a sudden, this happens, and they're like, "How did nobody saw it coming?" Blah blah blah. So that's why it was timely, and people wanted to know, what should I look for to see if this is happening in my family or in my work, environment or something.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how it came to fruition last spring.
Lorena, talk about if someone's watching and say, "Well, I'm confused. Lorena works for the city, and now she's doing this. What's the connection? Are you doing this on the city's dime, or are you is Mayor Elliker giving permission to do this, or is this an independent initiative? What's the connection between the city services and this community-based event?"
Sure, great question. So as you mentioned, my role is coordinator for community mental health initiatives, which is a new role within City Hall. I've been in the role just about a year and a half, and I've really been tasked with creating programs and initiatives to support community mental health,
Mm,
which I see as beyond sort of clinical spaces.
mm-hmm.
And I think one of the ways that we can best support community mental health is to strengthen and ensure that all of the places that our community is going has the resources, has the skills to respond to the mental health needs of New Haven. So I see this work with Dixwell, with Rosalind, with all of our other community partners as the core of what I've been tasked to do and what my role is for the city.
Tremendous. Roz, just before I come back to you, Lorena, share, if you would, some of your partners. I want people to get a feel for the scope and the networking, and that you might not have a large staff under your control there, but the partnership, and that's the way for things to grow for us to not necessarily have to look for who's the boss, but can we all kind of be at the table? So who are some of your,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Well, I will say I'm an office of one,
Mhm.
but I work very closely with partners across both within City Hall and working, with elderly services, with our libraries. I've done workshops with LCI.
Mhm.
Um, I work very closely with some of our, those more traditional behavioral healthcare partners that you would imagine, Clifford Beers, Connecticut Mental Health Center. But I also am working with a broad range of other community-based organizations and churches. I've been working with the social emotional learning office in the school districts.
Mhm. Mhm.
I've been working with Community Action Agency, the Community Foundation.
Good. Good.
Put me on the spot with partners, but
No,
I
no, no.
promise we have
I
a
get
lot of
no.
partners.
Just for folks, I want folks to see the pantheon, and then that this is a collective effort. And often for success these days, you do have to have allies, friends, a supply chain of wisdom and intellectual kind of sharing and translation. So this is so key. Roz, let's jump a little bit to whether you want to call it winter blues or winter depression or
Right.
suicide or
You know, this is
feeling
this is
sad.
this is very similar. We call this learning and information about suicide prevention. It's like CPR for the head. It's the mental health version of CPR. You want as many people to know how to save somebody, with first aid and CPR as possible.
Mm.
We've done that at church too several times, and we're
Mhm.
planning on doing it again in the spring. Um, it's like the AED machine. You have it on the wall, but who the heck knows what to do with it? It's in the buildings all over, but you don't know what to do with it. Well, this whole QPR training, and what do you do at holiday time? And
Mm.
there are so many points now that you can look at and say, this is a trigger, this is a trigger. There's so many triggers, there's more triggers than anything else in life now. The whole pandemic period, not being able to be with your friends at school, that was a trigger. And, working from home, no socialization around the lunchroom, in the water cooler, all those kinds of things leave you feeling isolated. And holidays is one of those times. It's
Mm.
just
Mm.
starting to get back that,
Mhm.
if you have family that is still around, you want to get together with them. I think the whole idea of everybody flying here and there and all these vacation trips and how busy the airports are at holiday time, I think it's all like, let me get out of here. Let me try to find some way to escape,
Mm.
heaviness of
Mhm.
life these days. And I think that things that we just took for granted, a little stressor here, a little stressor there, has kind of compounded. And I would say, particularly on the Black community, from the George Floyd and Black Lives Matter and all these different things, the whole social media and everything is just in your face. If you happen to look at it, it's in your face. I mean, for kids, for adults, for the elderly, for everybody, all of us. And it can be too much.
Mm.
It can be too much, and people don't know where to go to get help for that. Sometimes it's just, getting together with your friends at lunch, or getting together and having, games, a game day, and having families come together and play whatever you want to do. But it's just the socialization is a form of help for those who are out here feeling, isolated and alone. And you feel that more at holiday time than any other time.
Absolutely. Lorena and Ross, walk me through, tease me a little bit about 24. What's on the agenda, or what are you guys planning in terms of your I won't say your crusade, just your health, your health crusade. We want to abolish depression, and lift up life. So just tease us a little bit, if you would. What's on your you don't need to give me the Coca-Cola recipe. Just tell me, tease us a little bit about what you plan to kind of.
Well, for me and the folks at Dixwell Church, we want to get more activities going, and we want to have more connection with families who are inside and outside the church. And we want them to take advantage of all the opportunities. And there are a lot of opportunities to do things. We just have to, get the calendar together. So they're in the process of getting the spring calendar ready. And we're going to this winter take part in like the symphony, going to be at Southern. There's there'll be a bus. We're talking about going back to the Pequot Museum. A lot of people in Connecticut don't even know that that's up there, or have never been. And then, the connection of those folks to the African American community, they're connected because people were in the cities and they hooked up. Yes. So there are a lot of people, in those kinds of things. Yeah, we're doing those things. We're doing our workshop again in the spring. We're doing first aid, CPR again in the spring. Good. And we're doing arts and how to connect children and families to art, whether it's drawing, and we have a few artists who are working with young people during a series, and we're also doing music so that there's a series. So we're looking forward to all of that happening, between January and June.
And Lorena, what's on your plate? Because I recall getting oftentimes the employee information from the city about these workshops and nutrition and yoga and vaccinations and chair massage, and share a little bit about that. You're kind of the inside and outside person. I like it that you have. So talk about your work universe, as so to speak.
Sure. Well, I think I'm really looking forward to continue working with Rosalind and Dixwell, and really expanding the partnership with faith communities. I think hearing Reverend Hardy speak earlier on the show, our faith communities are reaching people in need. And when I think about mental health, I think about most people in their lives are never going to step into a behavioral healthcare setting for a variety of reasons, whether it's the price or the stigma, or they can't find a therapist that they connect with because they don't see themselves in the clinicians out there. But they may turn to their faith community. And so I'm just really grateful for the partnership with Dixwell, and hope to continue really strengthening our churches to be responsive to the mental health needs of congregants and residents. I think that I want to highlight.
Please here, highlight it.
The City of New Haven has published our first official suicide prevention guide. This is a paper copy. You can pick these up at City Hall. I can also share a link where you can download it.
Please. And when people attend the workshop, will there possibly be some copies?
Absolutely. We'll be handing out copies. But this is really to underscore that there are resources. And as Rosalind was saying, this can be a really hard time of year. But I want people to know, and I want listeners and viewers to know, you're not alone, and there's hope, and we're here to hold that hope for you. So I'm excited to continue sharing this with the community and making sure it gets into the hands of the people that need it. And the last sort of preview for the year, I'd want to highlight that's very related to suicide prevention is the Elm City Compass team, which is New Haven's non-police emergency response team. This is a team of a social worker and a peer, somebody who has a lived experience of a mental illness. The team has been operating for over a year now, and they're embedded in our 911 system. So if you call 911 and are having a mental health crisis, a substance use crisis related to, homelessness or something psychosocial, the team can be dispatched to meet your needs. And we know that sometimes you don't need to talk to a police officer, you need to talk to a clinician or a peer. And so the team is continuing to expand in the coming year. And we're just hoping to really make that resource institutionalized here in New Haven so that
excellent.
We know that there's sustainability for that team and that people's needs are being met with the right person in the right place at the right time.
Excellent. We have about 8 minutes. I want to throw hopefully you'll perceive it to be a softball and an easy question. But here goes. I want to ask both of you, since Lorena, you're currently employed by the city, employed by the taxpayers. Roz, you've been employed off and on by taxpayers for 30 years in terms of various municipalities.
You're too kind.
Very municipalities. I'm now involved with an elected position. Talk to me a little bit about, as we conclude, in general, people, your general perception of people sometimes seeing city hall services to be helpful, sometimes seeing city hall people to be obstacles. And since you've been on both, not now, Lorena, since you're on several sides of the fence, Ross, since you've seen various leadership styles in terms of municipal mayors, large cities, small cities, I'm just curious your thoughts about, this is something that it's really a selfish question that I ask myself each day. My desire for folks to see that we're all on the same team and we're trying to work together, and that we are not the enemy, but also don't use me as a psychological stress reliever. But we all are still humans, and there's still the taxpayers, in my estimation, still do have, and here's a conclusion, still do have a fair, reasonable reason for how they judge the quality of services. In all of our minds, we have a perception about what a quality service delivery means. So just any concluding thoughts, and I do want you to kind of leave us on an upbeat note, not an upbeat note, right? In terms of this question, because I do believe that we can, and Lorena, that's why I'm asking a question in terms of this context, for people to see how we can move beyond artificial barriers in terms of our mental, social, economic health. It's not just located in one area of control. Roz, I'll give you.
My experience has all been public health, and it's important for the listeners to understand that the people, I would say 99% of the people who go into public service in a health department are there because they are very interested in protecting and serving the public. They're not there just because, so-and-so's uncle said, here, give him a job. No, that's not who's in the health department. And that's not who I've met in other departments. I mean, yeah, they're out there, but it's not the majority. The majority are there because they like what they're doing. They're getting paid for what they're doing. They're not getting paid properly in at least the health department's, venue. But the skill, they have a lot of skills. They know a lot about different public health things. They train on a regular basis, state certification classes that they must take. And they're very good. They're very good. They're a variety of personalities, but they're very good at what they do. And that's New Haven, that's Bridgeport. These are the places that I've served now. So it's, I can tell you that in Bridgeport, in New Haven, in Branford, in East Haven, they are there because they're committed to public health. They're passionate about public health. So, when people come up to you, they're not there being, punitive. They're there to teach you something. And you need to listen to what they have to offer.
Excellent.
That's my 2 cents.
Lorena, thank you for your 2 cents, Roz. Maybe even 3.
Maybe.
I think what Roz says rings true. My coworkers, I'd like to thank myself too. I'm doing this job because I care about my community, because I'm really passionate about mental health. And I also believe in local government. Like, I believe that our government has a really positive role to play in the lives of our residents.
Mm-hmm.
And we're far from perfect. And I think that New Haven is an amazing city because our residents hold us accountable, right? There's a lot of accountability.
Mm-hmm.
New Haven's residents are extremely involved, critical, informed, and that really pushes us as government to do the best that we can. And I appreciate that dynamic. It can be, painful at times, but it's really about our residents holding us accountable to do the work that we are passionate about doing.
Excellent. We have three, maybe 90 more seconds. So Lorena and Roz, and Lorena, this question really pertains more to you, but Roz, I want you to weigh in also in terms of the perhaps newness of it. What I'm trying to spit out is community health initiatives do many cities have positions similar to yours that you know of?
So as a mental health coordinator, I'm the only one in the state of Connecticut.
So the only one in the state of Connecticut. So we don't have to think about the other 49. So let's talk about that. Is this truly innovative? Is this and I'm not trying to give you a chance to, boast, but it seems to me that this is an innovative step. And Roz, I want your opinion about how this fits into the structure, or do we need to kind of scale up? So do we need 10,000 Lorenas in every city? So we have 90 seconds for you guys to answer that lecture question.
I think that, such thoughtful questions, first of all, but I think that, the city, our residents demanded something structural to change in the wake of the movement for Black lives and the murder of George Floyd. And part of that structural change was the creation of my position. And every time this is putting government backing and resources behind this idea that mental health really matters to our communities.
Mm-hmm.
So I think ultimately that's a good thing, and we need more resources. And Roz, I don't know if you want to chime in.
Roz, you have 30 seconds.
When my contemporaries say, "Oh, I'm moving south," and because it's warmer or it's better or it's whatever, and I keep thinking, but at this point, this is the point in life when you need the services. So I don't think I'm going to go south to those places that, you can't get a service, you can't get good service, or they don't believe in, taking care of their people. I don't think I want to go there. I think New England will probably be where I stay, and I just run away for a few months in the winter and come back.
So I have 30 seconds. Lorena and Roz, where should people show up? I know you only go on 20, but just even express information, find out about this. How can they find out about this?
December 11th, 5:30 at Dixwell Church.
And Lorena, is there a number they call in terms of future activities or website?
Yes. It's kind of a long website, so I would just give people.
How about your email address?
My email address is L, as in Lorena, last name Mitchell, at newhavenct.gov. L Mitchell at newhavenct.gov.
Currently the only one in Connecticut. So we're gonna try to clone you and just to kind of maximize this initiative. Ladies, thank you so much. Keep up the good work. Stay helpful. Early holiday greetings to everyone. And let's try to make peace on earth, goodwill toward women,
yes,
children, and even men.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Take care.
As I got another rhyme, another rhythm for y'all to listen. I'm never quitting on my mission. I'ma roll with what I'm giving. Got some ambition, this new edition, filling positions. Looking at the void in myself and feeling what's missing. Better watch the way you going, better go in the right direction. In the moment you stressing, but you gon' be counting blessings. And I know that for certain. Keep on working, open curtains, haters swerving, cause they ain't ready for your final version. Whoa. I'm never gonna give up, fall down, I just gotta get up, yeah. Cause this is my road, let's camera action.